Okay, good afternoon. Hi, we're here with Ed from White Rabbit Chocolatiers. You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks.
Good stuff. So, yeah, we've just kick off with if you want to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it for, please.
Yeah, okay. So my name's Ed Hawks, and I'm a director of White Rabbit Chocolatiers. White Rabbit Chocolatiers has actually been on the go since 2004. We're a little artisan chocolate company specializing in hand making the finest chocolate that we can. We get our name from, there's actually a church here in Beverley where the shop was founded, and he's got a carving, he's called the Pilgrim Rabbit, and it's said to be the inspiration for the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. So we borrowed that name to kind of, rabbits, Easter, chocolate, it all seemed to work.
Good stuff.
And yeah, so that was set up by my mum originally. She started making her own chocolate in 2007, and I actually joined the business right the way down the line in about 2014. And I was actually the second employee. But since then, we've grown considerably. We opened our own chocolate cafe in 2016. My sister joined at around that time as well, making it a proper family business. And we've been on the up since then, opened our second site in 2018, and now we have a full functioning website doing deliveries all across the UK.
Fantastic. A growing business. Love it. So, obviously, through that history, there was something called the pandemic that happened not so long ago. What was the biggest impact of that for you?
Well, I mean, the biggest impact really was having to close our physical stores. At that point, it was really the cafe element of the business that was on the massive growth. And, it was, I remember that March, things had been going so well, and we were really looking at getting the next establishment. We wanted a bigger cafe, 100 seats, and really start going. But having to close those doors had a massive impact. Fortunately, we had this website that had been bubbling away in the background. It hadn't been doing too much before then. And that first year, it grew, it was about 1,100%. From the year before, so a massive change. I had been doing front of house, and that's where my specialty was. I've become a master wrapper of chocolate and boxer, and so my job role changed quite considerably for a couple of years, really.
Okay, so yeah, you've obviously had a big impact there, and the one or two actions taken because of the pandemic. I mean, in terms of that website shift, you've opened the stores again or the cafe. Um, have you continued, obviously, with online as well?
Yeah. So the online element of the business really has, I mean, it declined a little bit at the beginning, but really now it's sort of going head to head with 2020. So it's a full functioning aspect of the business now, which is really great to see. Obviously, reopening the cafes almost feels like starting business all over again, having to generate new regular customers. Some people just seem to have dropped off the face of the earth, to be honest. So yeah, having to sort of grind again and sort of build from the bottom up. But it looks like I think things are starting to. Some days are better than others.
Sure. So I suppose that links into asking the next question: what the future looks like, and what do you see as the main challenges moving forward then from this sort of post-pandemic era?
So, I mean, the future is looking bright for White Rabbit, I would say. If we can hold on, as I say, some bits are better than others. We opened our second shop in 2018, as I mentioned. That was over in Hull. That was actually mine and my sister's first pet project together. Unfortunately, Hull has been impacted a lot harder than Beverley has, and we've just really struggled to get that going again. So we're going to have some changes around. There's some elements of the business that aren't as profitable as they once were. So we're going to kind of have a prune, if you will. That's what we're kind of saying to ourselves, because it is a bit disappointing, maybe feeling like you're making some regressive steps, but it's pruning. We're getting rid of some of the aspects of the business that aren't working anymore, such as our whole store, and really focusing on what is making the money and the growing elements of the business, such as the website, things like wholesale and corporate as well. One of the big changes that we've seen is big businesses that wouldn't really touch us before. They complain about the price or our lack of capacity. Now they're putting in the effort to find those small local businesses, part of the local economy. And if we come out a little bit more expensive than before, they'll adjust their order and they'll order a little bit less. So it's been great to see some of those bigger businesses helping the smaller businesses as well. And that really is a growth aspect for us. So we're shrinking in some ways, but we're growing in others.
Yeah, there's opportunity out there.
Absolutely.
So just kind of moving on to personally your experience and things like that, what would you say the biggest learning is since you've been a business owner that you've had?
Reacting to challenges, I would say. There's been a couple of times where something's happened, costs have gone up, would be the biggest one recently. And you see some costs go up here and you see some there and you think, oh, actually we're doing fairly well. And then it gets to maybe the end of the season, such as something like Christmas, and all of those little costs have added up, and actually you're not where you thought you were. And there's been a couple of times where I thought, we need to do this, and then just held off a little bit, and then got caught short. So the biggest learning curve has been, you see a problem, you see the solution, you've got to do it immediately. There's no waiting around to see things might change and whatever. You need to act. And I think that's been the biggest challenge, but also the biggest learning curve for me personally. Just adjusting and reacting.
Thank you for that. So if we were going to go back in time and meet an 18-year-old Ed, what advice would you give to Ed at 18?
Well, the advice that I would have given to myself, so I went to uni and I did physics. I did a physics degree, which was fantastic. I really enjoyed it at the time. I thought maybe I would, to be doing PhDs and everything like that. But it came to a point where I was like, well, I need a job. I need to earn some money. And now I found myself kind of almost in this entrepreneurial kind of role. I wish I knew a little bit more about business. And I wish I'd maybe gone to uni and done some business studies or something like that, so that I was a bit more prepared for some of the challenges. I think I was very naive, thinking, well, if I can do a physics degree, I can do anything. Real world's not like that. I would tell my younger self, get some real world experience and prepare for the future, do some business and get those lessons under your belt first.
Good advice. Cool. So what inspires you to do what you do? Either that could be friends, family, or it could be a famous figure, or it might be your work, anything like that, customers, team.
It was my mum, to be totally honest. My mum was such a hard worker. As I mentioned, she opened the shop in 2004 originally. She worked as a one-man band right the way up to 2014. And
Wow.
sort of in those latter years when the business had grown quite considerably and she was making her own chocolate, she was opening the shop at 9 a.m. She was working through till 5. She'd flip the sign. She'd go upstairs, turn the chocolate machines on. She'd work till 11 p.m., go home, have some sleep and come back into work the next day. And seeing her work at something so hard and be so passionate about it and seeing that pay off as well as even back then, White Rabbit was a bit of a staple of the town and people would talk to her with respect. And she was invited to do chocolate talks, a local authority on chocolate. And, I just thought, what better world to live in one where you can be your own expert and, you can work hard and be a staple of the community as well. And, I wanted to come in and do business a little bit different, provide people with full-time jobs, stable jobs, and be that kind of pillar of community. And it's my mum that taught me all of that.
Lastly, any sort of offers or latest news that you'd want to share about White Rabbit Chocolatiers in terms of your business?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the big things this summer that we're really looking forward to is getting our chocolate workshops back. It was always a big element of the business. As soon as you start making chocolate, one of the first things that everyone asks is, can I ever go? So we always had a great time. It used to be, a couple of bookings every Saturday, every week of the year. And we've had a couple of years off, it hasn't been the same. So we've just done a few coming up to Easter, a few just now, and it's great to have full booked workshops again. We're getting these on the go. We're doing chocolate tasting, doing chocolate workshops for little kids, for adults, level 2, level 3. So yeah, I definitely want to push our workshops. Come in, get involved, have a go. We've got a cafe, you can stay a while and bring some souvenirs home as well.
Doesn't like chocolate, really.
Exactly, this is it. People who are lying to themselves.
Yeah, that's it. Great stuff. Thanks, Ed. That's really good. Appreciate your time, and all the best with everything.
Thank you so much. You too.
Good stuff.